This is Interpreting Wine founder and host Lawrence Francis inviting you to my first ever Interpreting Wine Hospitality Summit. This first of its kind audio event takes place from Monday the 28th of September until Thursday the 1st of October and will feature a diverse range of voices from London hospitality. Attendees gain early access to episodes over the 4-day event, and each episode will feature a different figure from the London hospitality scene, sharing stories and practical tips to help you navigate these uncertain times. Signing up will give you exclusive access to show notes for each session, giving you a list of key takeaways and strategies you can experiment with right away. And you will also get access to the Interpreting Wine Hospitality Summit private Facebook group, where you can discuss each session and access behind-the-scenes content. To sign up for this free event, just head to interpretingwine.com/summit. The next stop on our journey through organic Spain takes us to Rodolfo Valiente, director of Vegalfaro Viñedos y Bodegas. I had the pleasure of visiting the winery in Utiel Requena, close to Valencia, and pulling up a barrel for a one-to-one. He gives a brief overview of the family history before taking us behind the winery's decision to transition into 100% organic viticulture. He gives an overview of the Utiel Requena region and specifically the local Bobal grape and how it performs in the region's soils. Before talking about the winery's very own denominación de origen, D.O.P, Pago de los Balagueses, Rodolfo gives us a virtual tour of the different sites across the main winery and Pago de los Balagueses. We get an overview of all of the wines in their range, which interestingly include sparkling cava wines, white wines, rosés and reds. He talks about the export structure for the winery, discussing where the range is being enjoyed. We touch on Enotourism, given the winery's location, just 20 minutes from Valencia and an hour and 40 from Madrid. We taste two of the wines from the range, the 2015 Caprasia Bobal and the 2015 Pago de los Balagueses Syrah, before Rodolfo looks ahead at what constitutes continuous improvement for his very different wine ranges. Enjoy!
The history of this winery is 4 generations. My grandfather was a winemaker and he had a vineyard, but my grandfather was the little boy of 8 brothers, so he goes, to war, another winery, another vineyards, and my father, after this, bought, a lot of estates, 2, 3, and I feel, the calling of the wine, and now I'm here 20 years ago, and with 34 years I started to study viticulture and oenology, because I was a lawyer before this, and now it's my passion. I like very much to choose this job, because for me the most important is to have the vineyard, in order to transmit in the wines all the landscape, the grapes, the soil, and I'm very happy, because we can make and improve every year, looking for the best wine. You have to always thinking, create, this, and I think the step by step, we get, every year, okay.
One of the things that I remember when I first came across the winery, and that it's been reinforced again, is that everything here is organic. Could you say a bit about how that came to be, and why was that decision made in the first place?
Well, we have lucky because this weather, is easy to be organic, no? But for me, the most important is during a lot of years, everybody here, the cultives is only with the copper and the sulfurs, only to eliminate the sickness or the cryptogamics. But now it's the same, but for me the most important is not to use the systemics, to attack the roots of the grape. Because if not, the soil is without life. These microorganisms, is very important to develop, the fruit, the future wine. And for me, this is the most important, and not to attack the soil.
Okay.
And for me, the organic is the future in all the products, and this is my philosophy. Always I practice the organic viticulture. Always. The difference is to change because you need the certificate to export to countries that they want to be okay. But you say that you are organic, but I need the certification.
Let's actually zoom out a little bit because I've never had a winemaker on before the show from Utiel Requena, and it may indeed be an area of Spain that people don't know. So could you zoom out really from the property that we're sitting at now and give us a sort of a 1-2 minute overview of Utiel Requena? What is it known for? What might people expect if they see Utiel Requena and this region referred to on a wine bottle?
Okay, Utiel Requena is an area that the grape is Bobal. Is not very known in the world, but I think that the future of Bobal is incredible, Because now, for example, in my project is to find the best Bobal, the older vineyards. We are talking about 75 years old, 80, and in different soils, clay, limestone, and to make vinifications in order to find these grapes, because the people wants to eliminate these estates, these plots, in order to plant grapes that the production is higher. So we have to fight against it, because if not, you lose all the viticulture. The traditional here. So this is a problem here, If all the viticultures wants to eliminate the essence of the denomination, the old vineyards, we are lost, So in my project is to pay more, but more than if they plant, another grapes with a lot of kilograms, I pay the same, or more, in order to keep, Because it's in this plot, I'm only the yield is only, for example, 2,000 kilograms by hectare, and if I plant another, I can receive 10,000. It's crazy. Okay, I paid like 10,000.
Yeah.
So there are people that is okay, but another no. So I think it's important that another wineries make the same, because if not, disappear. And I have the lucky, because we have our own denomination of origin, Pago de los Balagueses denomination. And for me, this is the most important area. In this area, my father, when he bought this estate, the Bobal, about 90 years old. So now it's maybe 150, yes. And my father, changed the grape 45 years ago. The same, So I cannot repeat, you know, the same mistake. You know, so pero for example, in los Balagueses, the vineyard, another varieties are very nice, you know. It's very recognized by all the critics, because the most important is the soil. Yeah? If you plant it autóctona, what's okay, but if you plant it, for example, our Syrah, it's fantastic. You know, it's very well adapted. It's 45 or 50 years planted. Yeah. So for me, the most important is the soil, the ecosystem, organic.
Then I think what would help to put this into context is really to talk about your total holding here. You know, what area are we talking planted to vines? But equally, do you have additional area that doesn't have vines planted?
The difference between a plot or another, you know, the human factor is very important, you know, but the soil are very different between, for example, clay and limestone. You know, very the same grape in this, for example, in this area is very different from the mountains, and you have to choose, you know, in order the wine style. What kind is? This is better than this? No, it's different. It depends. You know, I always say all the grapes are good, depending of where they are planted. You know, this for me is the most important. We have two stages. You know, here in the winery is only vineyards. You know, my neighbors, you know, have the Bobal, the others have another. But in Los Balagueses, it's all round pine trees, aromatic herbs, and other cultives like almonds, olives. It's an ecosystem difference, and the altitude is higher. It's 100 meters more than here. The soil is limestone, so this is a special place. Everybody knows that the best wines are in this area. You know, in near from the state Los Balagueses, because more color, more structure. Why? Because it's only 10 kilometers from here, but it's totally different. So the terroir, you know, exists. I can compare, you know, because I am the same winemaker, the same winery, and I receive grapes from this area, so it's good for special wines, you know, and here is good, you know, for another wines.
What would be helpful now that you've started to talk about the different sites here, the differences that are maybe going to be coming through in the wines as well, and in, of course in the soil. Give us an overview of the different ranges that you make, and start to draw out what might be some of the differences that we'll find in those different ranges, and what characterizes those differences.
I am a winemaker that I like to experiment, you know, with all. So from the first moment, I start with different wines, white wines in fresh in oak, you know, with Chardonnay and Macabeo, and 7 years after, they go, why not? We can make cava too, a sparkling wine for me, you know, because I'm working with white wines, you know. And for me, the blend Macabeo and Chardonnay is very special, because Macabeo is very neutral, but the acidity is high, so for this weather is very interesting for us. And Chardonnay, you know, very ripened to make the crianza, no, in contact with the lees is very interesting too. So, okay, white wines, cava, and why not rosé wine? Because the Bobal, for example, is special for the Bobal, very fruity, strawberries, framboise, incredible, the perfume. And red wines, I want to make a young wine for everybody, for every day, you know, easy to drink, very fruity, you know, in order to make call the attention, to pay attention the young people, because beer is good, but why not wine? And okay, another wine. Oh, just young wine because a little bit of oak, because people like in nose to feel, the wood, and in tasting more sweeter than the other, but with more structure. And the typical crianza here. And I experimented with amphoras too, because why not to make a blend in oak and amphora? The amphora respect the wine, and it's very interesting for wines that the acidity is high, in order to make the maduration by the oxygen is faster than in the oak. This experiment, I like it. And the other is to make traditional, with Pago Balagueses, wines from in oak, in French oak, 10 months more or less, and always looking the fresh fruit. Right? And I think the most important is to transmit, the soil, this landscape of the pine trees, the aromatic herb, the black fruit. For me, this is a branch very extensive because, and every year I experimented, with wine without sulfites, for example, or an orange wine, another wine only aging in amphora. And now from autochthonous varieties, for example, Bobal Blanco, I have the idea because I have, it's only low productions, because it's to experiment, Sure. The Royal is rosé grape, Royal, is very interesting too.
It's very interesting to hear, that word experimentation, because, and I would, say innovation as well, because actually, to respect what is already in the ground, I think that's one part of it. But then, again, when you get into the winery, you I think, from the sounds of it, you're looking back as well. You're looking back at, old ways of vinifying and, traditional ways of vinifying. Is it therefore the case that amphora and vinifying in amphora also had a history in the region which was lost or was being lost?
Yeah. Our amphoras, is the most important is the macrosination. The amphora is not smelted inside, because the old tinaja that the people work here in Requena is all the subterraneans are wineries with the tinaja of clay, okay? But it's always smelted. The difference is like our amphoras is without smelted, in order to make the oxidation. The all smelted. Okay. So it's like a depot tank,
Yeah, okay.
And here is like a tool, like the old barrel to work in the macrosination. This is the difference. So why people don't work with this? Because we are after is the wood and the inos after, and it's easy to clean.
Okay.
And this is very interesting.
I want to encourage you to, in a sense, step away from the vines and the ground and the winemaking techniques that we've discussed, and talk a bit more about the business, because I understand that you export to many countries, and I think the best link that can be made here is talking about those different tiers, those different ranges, starting there. And talking about where are they sold, where are most sold in Spain, or where are they exported, give an idea of the different levels and which markets they go into?
Mainly we are selling in Europe, all Europe. For example, in Germany, the organic philosophy is very, very nice, and the people are able, to buy organic. And in Japan too, in Taiwan, Singapore, and in the States. In the States is difficult now, but step by step, I think we are going to obtain very nice results. It's slow, but I think it's very interesting for Spanish wines in the States. The young wine, the Revelia, for example, is selling very nice in organics shops, small supermarkets, organics in Europe, but in wine shops too, in Oreca is very interesting by house wine, for example, and the other range, Caprasia, is with oak, is selling more in wine shops, very specialty. And in Oreca too, in wine list. And Pago Balagueses is for very nice restaurants, Michelin stars, and restaurants with a very nice product. And for particulars, for Christmas presents, this is more or less the range. Okay.
So yeah, I came down from Madrid today on the AVE, as you know. You picked me up at the station. That was around an hour and 40 minutes. I know we're also around 20 minutes from Valencia. So this to me would suggest that there's a market there for Enotourism, for people to come out, and we're sat in this lovely tasting room. So yeah, not a specific question, but yeah, just give us a sense of how does that fit into your business model?
I receive visits, every Saturday for groups of between 10 or 15, because no more, because I like to explain very good, all the winemaking process. But I receive visits from people that are in the hotels in Valencia for all countries. It's incredible, and they write me, it's very nice, thank you very much. I recommended your wines in our, because they ask me for the importers, for example, or where in this country is sold or no. And for me, it's very interesting, because to transmit these people, your philosophy, your passion, because they understand that this is not a factory, because it's a way of life. You have your vineyard and you make the wine the best that you know, or the personality of the winemaker is very interesting. It's not that factory, only tanks, and to me is to buy wines from a cooperative and to buy. So the people wants to know who is the person that is making the wine, explaining and transmit, all, So the people it's increasing, coming here, and it's very interesting.
Another thing that was pointed out to me before are some of the new plantings. So we've really, we've gone through the history of the vines, and you working with as many of the old vines, and paying that premium to try and keep those there. But with those new plantings, talk about the new plantings that are going in, and why you've chosen those varieties, and what do you hope that they're going to add to the winery in the future and across the course of their lives.
The new plantings is because in my case, for example, because I need to change the variety, because from the trend of the market is for white wines, for example, I have to plant white grapes, and another is that the people are changing for more production, because there are grapes that the big wineries pay more, But I think that maybe now is okay, but in the future, no. Now I'm changing about 6 hectares from Tempranillo to a Chardonnay and Macabeo to make more cava, because sparkling wine is increasing very nice, you know. This cava is organic, so there are not a lot of organic cava. I have to use, you know, after in the second fermentation, organic sugar too. Okay. And I think it's interesting because I make only Reserva and Brut Nature, because our weather, you don't need sugar to add in order to improve, because the acidity here is moderate, you know, never is high, because we have sun. This is the reason. And I think is good because you can, this soil near from the river is very appropriate, you know, to white grapes.
Moving into tasting now, do you want to introduce wine by wine and then, take us inside the glass?
Yeah. This is Caprasia Bobal. It's the aging in amphora and in oak. French oak, is 75 years old, the vineyard, and to 2050. And I think it's very different. It's a special vision in 3 soils, in clay, in limestone, very sandy. And it's a mix of this soil, because of different plots, different aging. The average is 75 years old.
Okay. So being relatively flat here, everywhere gets a good dose of sun. Yeah, there is really no north side or south side with this range.
Yeah, but that is different parts, you know. Is in altitude, for example, in the limestone is 100 meters than here. Another plot is clay and is near from the river and with rolling stones in the subsoil, you know, and it's different place, you know. It's in order to make a composition of the different Bobal, the old vines of this area. This is the idea.
So lots of different microsystems, basically, lots of microclimates.
Yes.
Okay.
The color, you know, is very dark, is the typical of Bobal. In nose is the fresh fruit, the red, strawberries, framboise, a little bit of dark, you know, very ripened, because another plot I pick up later in order to make, you know, a blend after. And it's mixed with the pressed wine, because I think it's very interesting. Yeah. And the mouth, you know, is very rich. The good acidity is, I think, very complex, because the amphora, the minerality of the soil is good, but you can feel, you know, a lot the wood, because if not, it's like a makeup, you know. I think is to transmit the soils, different soils, and the amphora respect a lot youth. But the wood is in order to make the wine longer. But it's the oak I use, you know, from the white wine aging in oak, so the toasted is very light.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just add my 2 cents there. I do agree go along with what you said there. It's not, you know, in the past I've had Bobals and they've basically blown my head off, because they've been so alcoholic, they've been so hot, A lot of course, the fruit and the sun coming through, but they've not, for my palate, they've not been the most enjoyable to drink. Whereas this, we've just opened it. Maybe it would change with a bit more air. It would get it even a little bit more open, but it's drinking really nicely, just straight out of the bottle. So yeah, it's going down very nicely. So yeah, very, very excited now. So we're moving over to Pago de los Balagueses. Take us back inside the glass.
Yeah. Well, this Pago Balagueses Syrah is the same vintage, 2015, and I think this vintage for me is very interesting because no rains a lot, but no drought, because 2000 the next harvest was difficult, but very moderate the summer in maturation, and I think in nose, is very fresh. It's 2015, but it's fresh. Always I'm looking for the fresh fruit. For me, is the most interesting, because the wine is longer after, Is the color is dark too, it's like more than the Bobal. And for me, this is more interesting. Why? Because you can feel in nose too the chalky, and in mouth very mineral, ripened fruit, black fruit, like blackberries, for example, aromatic herbs, like rosemary.
Yeah.
It's very complex, this wine.
That was the thing that struck me first, actually, on the nose, was the forest or the herbs or the greenery. But it's for me, it's so well integrated with the fruit, and it's not. I think it's not your typical Syrah. It's just very smooth. It's just, again, very easy to drink, very nicely balanced, and really enjoying this. But it is clear, I think, that it's a step up from the other one.
Yes, I agree with you. For me, it's very important the mouth, smoothie, bubbly, because if not, you can bring without food perfectly and enjoy it. And for me, it's the most important to transmit this landscape, all around the pine trees, and I can feel, for example.
To kind of really the last question here is really a broad one. It's to ask you to look forward. Tell me, what are you looking forward to? What are you excited for in the future of the winery?
For me, the most important now in the future is to improve the wines of Pago Balagueses, our own denomination origin, because it's a special place. It's not the same that the neighbor, So I have to increase, knowing my plot, the plants, the different techniques in vinification to improve the wines, because it's in order to the people know that this wine have a very nice awards, but James Shacklin, Decanter, Jancy Robinson, and I want to that the people knows that this denomination of origin is special white, This is my obsession now, and the other wines, of course, to always looking for increase the quality. For me, it's the most important, because I can, I have the grapes, and to make wines from because it's so different. If you pick up the grapes maybe 3 days before, the wine is another, 3 days. For example, if you are picking up the grapes, because I have, like a curve of the evolution of the sugar, the acidity, and if you it's not charging a sugar, is stopped. Now is the phenolic maduration, if, for example, in the reds. No? We have to wait, and we have 4 days for this kind of wine. For example, fresh fruit. Or you want a ripened fruit, you have to wait 10 days more. You know, but if you don't know, if you don't have the measure, you are lost, you know. Yeah. Oh, it's good. It's 30 degrees? Okay, no. Because maybe you are losing a very nice potential. So investigating this, you know, for me is the most interesting.
Thank you so much, Rodolfo, for your hospitality. It was an absolute pleasure getting out and seeing the winery, and I can highly recommend a visit if you happen to be in the area. If you're in the UK, a range of Vegalfaro wines is carried by Vintage Roots, so do be sure to check them out at vintageroots.co.uk to learn more. And if you're not already, I would love to have you following along with me on social media, where I'm at Interpreting Wine on Instagram and Facebook, at Wine Podcast on Twitter, and email hello@interpretingwine.com. Seemingly as quickly as it started, the next episode, 425, marks the end of this series 1 of Organic Spain. But we go out in style and continue travelling east, taking a short flight over to the island of Mallorca, where I'll be speaking with Barbara Mesquida Mora of the winery Mesquida Mora. See you then.